there's some other news, some lesser news. Former Attorney General Jeff Sessions has officially entered the Alabama Senate race, and the first task on his agenda appeared to be making amends with Donald Trump. That's right, the guy who unmercifully mocked him, called him stupid, made fun of him being from Alabama. Well, now President Trump can't vote, of course, in Alabama, but Sessions announced his run for his former Senate seat with a campaign ad that clearly targeted an audience of one.
Jeff Sessions here. I approved this ad when I left President Trump's cabinet. Did I write a tell-all book? No. Did I go on CNN and attack the president? Nope. Have I said a crossword about our president? Not one time. And I'll tell you why. First, that would be dishonorable. I was there to serve his agenda, not mine. Second, the president's doing a great job for America and Alabama, and he has my strong support.
Oh my God! So, Guy Cecil, you know, if I've said this before about Ted Cruz, if somebody attacked my wife, said she was ugly, a political opponent, I would spend the rest of my life just going after them and making sure that they paid for it. Whereas Ted Cruz cannot hug Donald Trump enough. And if I had been attacked like Donald Trump attacked Jeff Sessions, oh, man, it would be ugly. I think most people would respond this way. But you look at Jeff Sessions, like Ted Cruz and these other Republicans that get insulted and trashed and their manhood challenged by Donald Trump. And they remain quislings. And I feel like asking the question that the nurse on the stand at the end of the verdict asked. Who are these men? Who are these men? Who would humiliate themselves in front of the president and the country like that?
Well, the answer is most elected Republican officials in the United States of America. I mean, this was a hostage tape.
God.
I mean, like, if you are a political consultant and you're sitting down here and you're saying, I'm going to launch my campaign for the Senate. I'm going to reintroduce myself to the people of Alabama, and I'm going to do it standing in front of a white screen, looking as bad as I possibly could. And basically all I'm going to do is lay down before Donald Trump and just hope and pray that he doesn't stomp on me again. And I mean, it's pretty remarkable. It's a hostage tape. He's literally sitting there begging. He was on another network last night, literally begging for Donald Trump not to endorse him, but just not to say mean things about him. This is not the way. But this is the United States Senate. You know, all of the talk about, well, behind the scenes, Republican senators say this and they say that. Who cares? They get in front of the camera and they do this.
Yeah. Yeah, who cares what they say behind the scenes? And same with that anonymous book. Seriously, who cares? Yep. First of all, we know that he's been acting like a crazy man inside the White House. And the question is, when are you going to affix your name to those charges? And what are you going to do about it? But here's Jeff Sessions last night playing Quizzling-in-Chief to the Commander-in-Chief.
He has your strong support. Do you have his strong support?
Well, I hope so. I think he will respect my work. I was there for the Trump agenda every day I was in the Senate. No doubt about it. I was the first Republican, first senator to endorse him. If I return to the Senate, no senator in the Senate will be more effective in advancing President Trump's agenda than I would be.
Elise Jordan, Donald Trump said the worst mistake that he ever made was making Jeff Sessions his attorney general. He said he was stupid because he went to the University of Alabama Law School. He ridiculed the way he talked, said he was dumb. And Jeff Sessions says he's going to do whatever Donald Trump tells him to do. I just don't get it. Do voters really want somebody that weak representing them in Washington?
Joe, it just really blows my mind how so many men, and primarily men, because, well, let's face the facts, most national elected Republicans these days are men, but they are just willing to bow at the altar of Trump. And after all of that, after all the public humiliation, after the nastiness and just the cruelty that Donald Trump heaped on Jeff Sessions, and I was never a big Jeff Sessions fan, but you got to the point where you just pitied him as a human being for what he went through with the president of the United States just bullying him every single day. I can't imagine a single job in the world that it would be worth it to have to go and bow down to your biggest bully like that. And it also just frankly annoys me that Donald Trump calls Jeff Sessions dumb Southerner and this and that. And then Donald Trump benefits from so much Southern support. And and another example of this, the newly elected Mississippi governor, the chair of the RNC tweets out, oh, Donald Trump saved the race. He was down by double digits. Seriously? And they just take it. They just roll over. And I don't want to say roll over like dogs because I like dogs, but they just roll over.
So let me.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like it. I mean,
no.
Man, when I ran, people like tough leaders. I mean, that's at least what I saw. People like to have representatives that aren't going to put up with anything, that are going to go to Washington, D.C., and are going to be tough and fight for them, not fight for whoever the president is or fight for whoever the Speaker of the House is, but fight for their constituents. And this is a personality cult. I never once talked about, I'm going to go up and help so-and-so and their agenda. No, it was about the people in my district, the people in Northwest Florida. It wasn't about helping other people. That's why this is so bizarre. I'm going to go up to Washington and I'll be the biggest fighter for the guy who said I was a dumb Alabama Southerner. I don't get it.
Yeah, and remember, I think we played the soundbite even yesterday where President Trump's mocking Jeff Sessions' Southern accent. And let's be specific. This is from Bob Woodward's book, Fear Trump in the White House. The President of the United States first used a derogatory term for Jeff Sessions' mental capacity, which I won't repeat on TV, and went on to say, quote, he's this dumb Southerner, Trump told Rob Porter, the White House staff secretary. He went on to say, how in the world was I ever persuaded to pick him for my attorney general? He couldn't even be a one-person country lawyer down in Alabama. Went on to call him a traitor and said his decision to recuse himself in the Russia probe was, quote, the ultimate betrayal. So that's what Donald Trump thinks of the guy who cut the hostage tape yesterday, seeking his approval.
And by the way, let's just be very clear about it. Jeff Sessions did what any attorney would do in recusing himself. Yes. He had no choice under investigation himself for some misstatements he had made on Russia. He had no choice but to recuse himself. But Donald Trump doesn't respect the rule of law. He certainly doesn't respect somebody doing what's ethically right. It's exactly what Jeff Sessions did. And for it, he got just absolutely blasted, called a traitor. And in return, Jeff Sessions bows down to Donald Trump. No. It's just pretty incredible.
Groveling for his approval. Guy Cecil, before we let you go, let's forget Mike Bloomberg for a second. State of the Democratic field right now.
In flux, no doubt about it. I think that there's a lot of concern, not just about individual policy positions or ideology, but whenever you're in the last 3 or 4 months leading up to Iowa, there will be more change between today and the Iowa caucus than there was beginning in January to today. And I think people should fasten their seatbelts because it's going to be bumpy.
Majority of Iowa caucus goers undecided still. Important to remember
That's
that.
Right.
Guy Cecil, thanks so much. Good to see you. Still ahead on Morning Joe, the House Intelligence Committee has subpoenaed acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney to appear on Capitol Hill this morning. The latest details on that next on Morning Joe.
The Attorney General says, I'm going to recuse myself. And I said, why the hell didn't he tell me that before I put him in?
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.